Hey there, Cheesemeisters, and welcome back to the Peach Pod. That would have been Can't Cry Hard Enough by the Williams Brothers. That song is playing at the end when young Dylan breaks down and cries and then the opening credits happen. I have no idea what kind of song you heard, although I'm sure it wasn't that. Um,
Couldn't tell you.
so, yeah, that's kind of what I figured. I am Jeff. And we are going to get through this, and I absolutely want to drink.
Yep.
And joining me on the other end of the internet, my host.
I'm Leslie, and funerals are awkward for everyone.
Oh, that's facts. This is this episode, Cheesemeister, Season 3, Episode 22, The Child is Father to the Man, some kind of title that is. Original air date 2/17/93. Donna was the voice of reason constantly throughout this episode.
Yes.
This was one where I'm like, well, thank God Donna's yelling at people.
Right. Talking sense.
Yeah. She's good at it. It's a good role for her to be the one in the middle going, the fuck is wrong with you two? Sort of
Also,
all over the place.
I want her dress. I want that dress. Oh. That dress was awesome.
Well, we should make that happen. We could find that dress somewhere. Thriftatonic. Yeah. Yeah, Kelly didn't know what to wear to the funeral, but Donna did.
Black, honey.
Yeah, there you go.
Easiest thing you will ever have to dress for.
Yeah, no kidding. Even although I mean, you can go with a gray or a silver, a David silver. Like that looked good. You know.
My mom has. Anytime we've had to go to her funeral, she's always been like, you don't have to wear black. And I'm like, this is what my etiquette book told me, and I'm going to wear black.
Oh. Well, as long as you have an etiquette book. I don't know how I've made it 49 years without owning an etiquette book, but here I am.
Drinking. Shout outs to American Girl.
Oh, was it American? Wait a minute. There's an American Girl etiquette book?
Hell yeah, there is.
Okay. Pause. I need to know all about this.
Okay, so let me look up the exact title, but it was like a girl's guide to manners.
For a second there, I thought you just had it sitting there and you were like reaching to reference it live in person.
I wish. I kept this book a long time because it even had a section in the very back on what the proper etiquette would be if you were to ever meet the Queen. God rest her soul.
Well, there you go.
And listen, what I lack in confidence, I do not lack in hope. Yeah, it's called the Manners Guide for Girls, American Girl Library.
Oh my God. Does it teach you about how to save up money for a divorce in case you ever get a husband?
Sadly, no.
Shouts to Annie. I would if I thought you knucklehead said anything worth listening to.
About time y'all said it.
That's right. I was just editing our It's a Wonderful Life episode, so Annie's a little bit in my head.
That's a wonderful thing to have in your head. A wonderful person to have in your head. What am I saying?
It is. Yeah, love Annie. Okay, so this episode is the aftermath of Jack getting got, as Dylan puts it. Dylan, just like me, cannot get the image of Jack McKay singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" out of his head. Baseball Cap Dylan is right. That is a nightmare. And it's now our collective nightmare, one we will never get over. So Dylan is not doing great, obviously, and unsurprisingly. And he's being hounded by the press who are outside of his house. And there's articles in the newspaper everything's bad. Baseball Cap Dylan wants not Baseball Cap Dylan to go to Baja or
we could be there
literally
2 hours.
2 hours, man. Baseball Cap Dylan just wants to be anywhere else. BH Dylan. And Jim comes over and says, "Look, son, I'm going to call you son for the rest of my life and the rest of your life and the rest of our lives. I'm going to call you son. I'm going to ask about your grades too.
Call me son one more time." Shout outs to Hamilton.
I know you're drinking the mug and everything. I know it's good work. Then Dylan goes over to the Walsh house, but Kelly, who's been staying at Dylan's house and doing a really bad job of trying to make him feel better, because poor Kelly, and we're going to have to talk about poor Kelly a little bit later. There's some shit going on here.
Yeah.
And so Dylan goes to stay at the Walsh house and get away from the paparazzi. Although, like, I don't know why they don't just follow Jim's car. Like, he's not going that. He's going right. He's just going right down the street. They could have followed him. I don't know why they didn't follow Brandon's car when Dylan tried to sneak out to go meet the feds, but whatever. There's a lot about this I don't understand. He goes to the Walshes. Kelly goes home because she still feels unwelcome at the Walshes, but Brenda insisted that Dylan come over. And Dylan's just trying to get through it. There's a funeral the next day, which happens to conflict with David's recording session at Icon Records with Serge Menken and Curtis Bray. And Donna is like, "Dude, the fuck? Can't you just like reschedule it?" And he's like, "I don't think I can. This is fucking Icon Records, Donna. You don't understand. It's Curtis Bray. It's Serge Menken, for God's sake. The Serge Menken puts his pants on one leg at a time, but after he has his pants on, he makes gold records. That's who fucking Serge Menken is, if you don't know." So they have the funeral, and Dylan doesn't want to say anything because he's not sure. He's all conflicted. What's going on? Jack a good guy, Jack a bad guy. Did I love him? Did he love me? Is the whole thing going on? Doesn't speak. And they go back to the Walsh house. David goes to his recording session, which turns out to just be those two guys singing "Love to Love You Baby" at him in Curtis Bray's office, and suggesting that David do a cover of that song, which, not for nothing, like I've heard David songs. I'd be all for a cover of "Love to Love You Baby." That's a great song.
I think they cut that out of mine.
Oh, because they're singing a song they don't have rights to.
Because I didn't get anyone singing to David. I got a scene with Curtis and Serge, whatever the fuck his name is. Yeah. Don't care. He's trash. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't get anyone singing to David.
So what was it? Just like David in their office and asking him how long till they get down to the recording?
Yes.
Okay. So right before that was those two guys singing that song, trying to be like, "This is what we should do next, David. We should do it. We should do a cover version of this song." And David's like, "Can we just go and record?" Yeah. So you missed that part, which is sad for you. Except for like you've literally never heard two worse people singing that song in the history of the world. It's just
I'm awful. Good.
Yeah, you're okay. But that's the direction. Like we get a glimpse at the direction they want to take David's music career. So this is maybe like if "Hey Fire the Yuts" wasn't enough of like a red flag, here's another one, David. Maybe Curtis and Serge are not for you. Kelly, Kelly's still not eating, except for potato chips.
I mean, she has different tactics for her eating disorder this week, because like she's eating the potato chips really weirdly, but also, in her defense, eating on camera is rough because like you have to do it so many times. You kind of do have to eat like a bird.
Yeah.
Shout out to Norman Bates.
Facts. But also she takes a shit on eating some meatloaf.
Yeah.
Which is, look, I feel for you, Kelly. You have a lot going on. if you blaspheme Meatloaf one more time, you and I are going to have to step outside, because Meatloaf is God's gift. It is wonderful. Second day meatloaf is one of the two foods that is 100% better the second day after it's been made. The other is chili. These are without, there is no question about this. The chili, it gives like more time for like the seasoning to sink in.
So that makes sense.
Tastes it's so, second day chili is God, it's amazing. But like cold meatloaf on like some bread with some ketchup is, I'm telling you, Kelly is wrong about meatloaf is what I'm saying.
She is.
So still having some issues there. But she goes to the, they have the funeral situation, and Brenda wants to make sure that Christine knows where their house is, and goes out of her way to invite Kelly, so that Kelly feels like she's welcome. And Kelly shows up and eats potato chips like a tiny little bird. And Dylan, at the funeral home, this fucking asshole comes up to him in the hallway and is like, "Hey, you're going to get a phone call in 2 hours. I suggest you answer it." And what? And so then like 2 hours later, Dylan does get a phone call and he answers it. And he sneaks out and he meets that same asshole wearing a trench coat in a underground garage, standing strangely in the dark until Dylan walks in when he turns on the light, which is overly dramatic. And he tells Dylan that Jack was working for the feds. He made a deal and it got him out of the Huskow. And then Christine walks in and Dylan's like, "They brought you here too?" And it turns out Christine is the feds also. Bum, bum, bum. And even though there are rules against such things, she really did love Dylan, and she was going to quit her job, but now she doesn't have to. So good for her. Yeah, dodged a bullet there. And so maybe Jack's a good guy after all. Hard to say. Brandon's still losing on basketball. Pistons didn't even bother to show up this week, motherfuckers. And but it's okay. He's got a couple more games this weekend. He'll probably bounce back. Steve, they all go outside and shoot baskets, and Steve shows that he likes to shoot baskets. That may or may not be important later.
I mean, he tried it for the basketball team once, so we kind of knew he liked basketball.
We did, but we didn't know that he liked taking shots under pressure, which this episode tells us about. Also, we never knew that Dylan has a pretty good left-handed jump shot.
Yeah,
like his form was pretty good. So shouts to Dylan for draining one from the short corner there in the backyard.
I can't speak to his form, but he made it, so I was like, "Oh wow, good job."
Yeah, no, his form's pretty good. His arm follow through, it was pretty straight. It wasn't off to the side, all crazy weird. It was pretty good. Now, granted, I'm pretty sure we've seen Brandon play basketball at that goal, and so we know that it's not regulation height. Like, because Brandon can touch the rim, and there's zero chance that 5'6" Brandon can touch the rim in real life.
Oh, so, we're the same height? Go ask Jason.
I'm guessing. I know that he's not as tall as Steve, and I'd be surprised if Steve could touch the rim. Steve's probably, I feel like Steve's about 6 feet tall.
I don't remember, and I've been next to him, so.
Oh, that's right. But you weren't looking up.
You're right. I was looking at all the chests.
I'm saying. Just little nippies out there.
No, I kept it appropriate.
Well, you didn't see him in Chippendales?
No, I did see him at Chippendales, but I'm just saying I wasn't going to touch people.
No, but you're looking.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, those nipples are at eye level. You giggled like you liked it.
It was a fun night. I had no idea how much I was going to enjoy Chippendales, but it was fun. My only problem with Chippendales is there's not, because I don't know if you know like what the performances are other than dancing.
I've never been to a Chippendales, and I've seen the Full Monty, but I don't think that's Chippendales exactly. So
each number is designed to like cover a different fantasy that women have. So like you have, I don't know, you have like boy bands, you have firefighters, you have vampire, kink, whatever.
You have a guy that just like folds the laundry and is helpful around the house. Do you have that guy?
See, well, this is what we're getting to, because we don't have the stuff that's actually porn for some of us. It's
right.
Men taking initiative and doing stuff without us asking. Quite personally, where was the library porn?
Right.
Where was the guy going, I got you a library? Or like, you know, just being the guy in the bookstore being like, oh, here's a recommendation. Or like, oh, I bet you don't need any recommendations because you're naturally smart. And he's reading like, I don't know, Simone de Beauvoir or something. And like, where's that? Where's the feminist porn?
Well, call Ian, have him get back out in that Chippendales deal. He's 60 now, so it's probably going to work out well for everybody. And, re-choreograph this thing. Say, here's what I need. I need a dude reading, wearing nothing but a banana sling. That's what I want. That's what I want.
Man, there's a sketch idea here about like, I don't know, new age feminist porn, something.
Oh, I thought you wanted to just draw sketches of banana slings.
Ew, no.
You love it. Because we got off track. We were talking about Steve Nipples.
You're just thinking about banana slings now.
What do you mean now? It's like there's a loop going through my head. That's all. For some people, it's like the little bears driving the cars wearing Shriner hats. For me, it's just banana hammocks everywhere. So, I forgot to ask. Did you throw up in your mouth or throw something this episode? It feels like not. No. It feels like not a throwing something episode.
This episode made me. No, if anything, it just. I mean, to say it made me sad is trite. Like,
but it's kind of true.
It's true, but like, it's not for the thing you think. It's the hugging your younger self and seeing, like that. I can't speak to that. Like that hurts so profoundly, even though it was like a good thing in a way. Like but again, his problems aren't going to be solved. He has healed a part of his younger self. I really thought we were going to get the clip again of "I'll never let you down, son," and I was disappointed.
I was too, but there's a reason I don't remember that clip existing prior to us doing the podcast. Because it's like, it's so weird. It never comes up again. But Take Me Out to the Ball Game won't leave me alone. So it's all degrees of weird.
That kid, like, just looking at him crying and I mean, it broke something in me.
Yeah. So, okay. So let me ask you about that then, because that is a choice, right? This episode to have Dylan talking to himself, first as BH Dylan and then little Dylan. How did that work for you as a storytelling device? The constant back and forth between himself.
It was interesting. Yeah, I don't know how much deeper I can get into it other than like it was interesting and like knowing where it was leading to. I think it told a more interesting story about someone grieving, because granted, grieving is not a monolith, like but for someone who is battling addiction and battling inner demons Like, I found it to be very interesting, and I thought this is a funeral episode that could potentially help teenagers more than, you know, Jen yelling at a congregation about how none of you all liked this girl. You're glad she died, and also God isn't real. Like, that's a rough episode.
It's a choice.
It's a choice. Both are valid
Yeah.
in their own way, but I think this one can help kids more.
Yeah, people. It's I think that like this is one of the things that I think this episode is really about. And I think that it's pretty well done. And it's that it's the idea that like grief is complicated. Like as you say, it's not a monolith. It's definitely not the same for every person. And that's like that's the one thing that I know for sure about grief is that you get to do it your own way.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever it is for you is okay. Now there are some things like the whole like falling off the wagon and going on a binge are probably not super helpful. But it works in different ways for different people, grief. And they do a good job of showing how complicated it is for not only for Dylan, but like let's just the Dylan part of it. Like he's struggling, as you say, with this idea of like he's an addict. So like, does he want to drink? Mm-hmm. And he's got this physical manifestation of the voice in his head saying, let's get the fuck out of here. These people don't care about you. Why don't you just drink? Like all those thoughts. And it's kind of it's interesting putting them in an external person, mm-hmm. because that's true. Like you are not in charge of your thoughts. They come and go as they please. And it's up to you what weight you want to give your thoughts and how much importance you want to put on them. And so Dylan is trying to go through his day and his thoughts just keep bombarding him. And he's not super interested in what these thoughts are. But he does pick up the bottle at, the night before the funeral and take a big old swig. And he wants to do it again the next day. Like all of these thoughts are being attacked at him. Like he's being attacked with them. Mm-hmm. And they're all possible reactions he could have. So that's complicated. Mm-hmm. On top of that, you've got all of this stuff about, is Jack a good guy or a bad guy?
Yeah.
Is Jack a good dad? The press is outside. Am I the next target? Did Jack have mob ties? Did Jack really love Dylan? Did Dylan really love Jack? Mm-hmm. Wait, what's the deal with Christine? Or was that a real thing, or was it part of the show? And now the show of him being a cooperating witness. And like, wait, he's a cooperating witness? What does that mean? He was bait? You guys fucked up? Who was protecting him? How did he blow up? Like,
yeah,
there's so much going on for Dylan just with that. And then let's add, I'm going to go back to my ex-girlfriend's house. Oh, you took the pictures of me down? Like, no, but not really though, because he's not like mad at her about it. He's just like,
no, I know,
noticing that last time he was here is different than being here again. Being now, it's another layer of complication, and then you put all of the other people around him who none of them know how to handle this. Like Brenda's trying. She opens up her house. She's but she gives him the Aunt Sheila bit or whatever, and and he doesn't want to hear that. That's not helpful for him.
No.
Steve and Brandon want to like distract him with basketball, and he doesn't want to hear that either. Like, do you want to talk? No, I don't want to talk. Do you want to say something at the funeral? No, I don't. Kelly doesn't know what to say. She doesn't bother to go. Like, if she has to be dragged there. David is like, I got this fucking nonsense I gotta go do. And
Yeah.
Dylan's probably not even gonna miss me if I'm not here, which is facts. Um and but then he comes back, and then David, God bless him, is the only one who has anything helpful to say.
Yeah.
And it's a mess. Like, not a narrative mess, like not the way this show's usually a mess.
No.
But like, it is a big jumble of stuff. And I think they do a pretty good job with it.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. I think the reason I'm struggling to respond is that, like, when it's something so complicated and layered and awful as grief, it's hard to say, yeah, they did a good job with it. And, like,
Right.
you know, I'm stuck here also in my own thoughts, thinking once again, like, while it is terrible, he loses his dad. He has something concrete. He has a concrete moment where his grief begins.
Sure.
About his dad, and not everyone has that, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I didn't realize I was grieving my dad until, like, years later.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
And, like, he's still alive, but it's just one of those things. Like, it's not a concrete thing, and you think as a kid, like, well, they're not dead, so what do I have to grieve?
Right. Sure. Yeah, but I mean, again, that just shows how complicated this is.
Yeah.
Know?
Yeah.
And like, it should be kind of messy. You know, the way that it's portrayed. It should be like, all of these thoughts and emotions that Dylan's feeling, even the smile when he makes the basket. Like,
yeah.
that is right. Like, that's an important thing. Did you ever see the show The Leftovers?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, you know how the first season is really hard to watch? And then the second season, it's like the show figured out what it is, and it's like a miracle.
See, I loved it all the way through, but okay.
But the tone of it shifts a little bit between the first and the second season. And it's because
I think it was supposed to.
Well, here's why. Because the creator of the show went through, like, he went through a loss, a funeral of some sort. I don't remember who it was. And through the going to a wake and the funeral and all of the stuff, he remembered that there's laughter in grieving.
Yeah.
And that there are moments of levity. It's not just Sourpuss Jones all the time.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes things are legitimately funny, and there are moments of lightness in the dark. And he and the show shifts in the second season and has so much more of that in it. Not to the exclusion of the other stuff, but as, like, also part of it. And so it's important to show those pieces when you're talking about this character is going through grief.
Yeah.
You know, that it's not just Mr. Mopes. You know, it's all those things. It's, can I run away? It's all right, I guess I'll shoot some baskets. It's, where's that booze? You know, it's fuck everything. It's, you know, how come the press is outside my house? Which for me, like, every day, I get it. But, you know, sometimes it's a cross we got to bear, Dylan. Being this young, handsome, and rich. But yeah, I think that it's correctly messy, this episode.
Yeah. Convoluted.
You know? Yeah.
I couldn't help but think about, you know, because on the one hand, there's the obvious message of, like, no one knows what to say to someone grieving, you know? And there are, on top of that, there is no perfect thing to say, you know? you just like in life with anything else, you try something, it doesn't work, try something else. Or, you know, feel free to ask the question, what do you need? What do you need to hear?
Yeah.
Don't know? Okay, I'll be here when you know. Or I'll be here to help you figure that out.
Yeah.
But I also thought about how we don't ever really know a person completely inside and out.
Sure.
Like, Jack is clearly a lot more nuanced than we
Right.
thought. I don't go back on anything I've said about this character.
No.
But he's clearly...
You shouldn't.
But,
He's saying, take me out to the ball game. Fuck that guy.
well, and I just don't... Just because you're working with the good guys now doesn't mean you are good. You know?
Right.
Oh, you finally made the right choice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a step. That doesn't absolve you of everything. Like, life is constantly about, it's chutes and ladders, you know? You hope that you keep finding some ladders, and then sometimes you slip down a chute because you took one step too far.
Yeah.
So, and then, you know, we also don't really know Christine. Or
Uh-huh.
we don't really know Christine. Like, yeah, you know, you can obviously be with someone and love someone, and again, there are plenty of people out there, I'm sure, who know this more than I do, but like, someone dies and they learn something about them, and you know, that has to be devastating. Or maybe, hopefully not always devastating, but still you feel bad because you didn't know this part of them.
Right. Yeah. And it, you know, and it calls into it causes you to rethink like all of the conversations you had, where it had you known that thing, it would have changed that conversation.
Yeah.
You know? Like, oh shit, if I'd known that, I would have understood what he was saying. I would have understood what he really meant when he said that to me. Or I would have maybe known the thing to say that would have been helpful. You know?
Yeah.
But none of that stuff helps. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, can't go back.
No.
But it, you know, it does contextualize or recontextualize the relationship you have with that person. It's like Iris said to Brenda, you know, like, this isn't the end of your relationship with Dylan. It's the relationship's going to continue in some way, even if the relationship is you have no relationship, that's still a relationship. You know, like,
exactly,
you still have something to do with this person. And I did think that was that conversation they had in Brenda's room was interesting, because where she was like, you know, like, this is like, you and Kelly really hurt me, but this is so much bigger than that.
Yeah.
And like, eventually I'm just going to be this girl you went to high school with. And that is like accurate. You know what I mean?
But I felt, but it's true.
Yeah, it's true, but also he's like, that's not going to happen, because like, we've been through too much for that. But like, that is, I don't know, recently, like whenever it was, August, went to my 30th high school reunion, and I saw my high school girlfriend for the first time in 25 years, like, long time. And we got to just hang and talk, and I was kind of nervous about it going in, because like, there's this thing in, like, I won't say there's this thing in my head, like, was that relationship as important to her as it was to me? You know what I mean? And like, and so, you know, I was a little nervous about how this was going to be. Yeah. And it was so nice. And like, we had a really fun time. And I said that to her at some point. I was like, you know, I was kind of nervous about this, because it's like, you know, I don't know if I meant as much to that person as I think I did. You know, maybe I was just a blip. And she was like, that's interesting. I never thought about that for a second. I just thought, this is going to be nice.
Oh,
you know, which is really sweet. But like, so I get that thing that Brenda is feeling, that like, eventually I'm going to be a footnote in this person's story. You know, I'm not their whole story. obviously they've had a whole life since me, you know?
Yeah.
But I should still be the most important part of it, god damn it. That's how that works.
I mean, yeah, as someone who often feels like that, you know, like I'm just going to be a girl you knew in high school or knew when, on the other, you know, opposite end of the coin, whatever I'm trying to say, it's just I also really hope that that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all want to be important in whoever's story we have come across.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that conversation was interesting, and you know, it bumped me a little at first, and then, you know, realized he wasn't getting mad about
The pictures and
being,
everything, yeah.
you know, being eradicated from her room, you know, and out of sight,
Mm-hmm.
out of mind. Like, his feelings are logical. Like, you, it doesn't feel good to know or to feel bumped out of someone's life, but at the same time, you also kind of need to allow that person to heal however
Mm-hmm.
they need to. Um,
Yeah.
but here, does she owe him an apology?
I mean, if she feels like she does, you know, like that's kind of what it is, right? It's like, no, of course not. You know, she doesn't owe him anything.
No.
But if she feels bad about it and she wants to say that, then sure. You know, like
Okay, that's
Brenda's
fair.
situation's complicated too, and so is Kelly's. You know, and it's, you know, they just like this is probably the first non-ridiculous part of their like breakup that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, it's not it's like it's a it's a little bit that of course if something happens it has to involve a party at the Walsh house. Like,
Yeah.
hey, remember when Jackie got married here? Well, now we've hosted a funeral. Like, we're just doing it all here at Casa Walsh.
There was a moment where I feel like Carol Potter forgot what episode she was in because so David and Dylan have had their moment and they walk
Mm-hmm.
into the room and Carol, as Cindy, just goes, David! And I'm like, whoa, honey. Like, I know you're okay, but Dylan's right there. Can you bring it down just a little? Like,
I
I
mean,
don't know.
I think it's possible that her outfit also forgot what episode she was in, and everything from Cindy was just going to be loud this episode. Like, you know what? You don't have to wear black to a funeral, but I don't know if you can wear that because
You
that
know,
is some blue.
I don't want to completely assign this to Midwestern moms, but from the Midwestern moms I know, she totally did the thing of like, yes, it's sad, but we don't have to be sad. We just have to be there for them. We can be light and bright. It's fine. It's fine. So he's dead. We don't have to be sad. Food?
Yeah, try the salmon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the outfit she was wearing though it's like the blue version of the outfit she wore to Brenda's job when she pretended to be that lady who shopped a lot and then fucked right off and like told the other woman to eat it.
Yeah.
It was the same style, only she didn't have like a turban on or whatever she was wearing in that
Yeah.
episode. Yeah, Cindy was the hostess with the mostest, and that's just how it was going to be. You
Yep.
know, try the salmon. Kelly, eat a potato chip. It's fine. One of the things I thought was sort of interesting in this is uh, watching who each character puts first.
Mm.
Because, like, Brenda put Dylan first. Like, she was like, this is weird for me, but obviously this is, you know, he needs family around, and we're as close as he's got. David puts David first.
Yep.
And you know, which is fucking ridiculous. Kelly puts Kelly first. Like all of Kelly's stuff is all about Kelly. It's not about Dylan at all. It's not about how she can help Dylan. It's about how she thinks she's perceived by Dylan. You
Yeah.
know, and then the Walshes are thinking about Dylan. Nat, look, Nat could have catered the whole thing for free, but whatever. At least he came, you know. Like, I would have liked to have seen Mrs. Teasley show up. Like, that would have been something. Because, spoilers, not for you, I'm not going to spoil what this is, but everybody here knows the thing that Mrs. Teasley shows up at that is fucking preposterous. And so it just, it's when we get there, you'll know what it is, and you'll say, why the fuck is Mrs. Teasley here?
Aaron's gonna have a bat mitzvah for some reason.
For some reason.
She's not Jewish. So yes, that would mean for some reason.
she could, take up the cultural mantle if she so chose. But you're right, Jackie's not Jewish, so Aaron's not Jewish. And we don't know about Sheila, so we don't know about David. Andrea's Jewish.
Yeah, that's right.
We've met her maternal grandma. We know what's up. But like, all of the characters are making choices about who to prioritize. And it's interesting those who are not choosing Dylan in this moment, And especially because one of them is dating him. Yeah. And the other one ends up being the only one who understands. And I thought that was such a, like, sometimes the writers remember what happened.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't. This time they remembered, and it mattered, and it really worked because, like, no one knows exactly what you're going through, right? No. When you're grieving. But if someone shows you they understand, then that can be really helpful. And David isn't like, he's like, look, it wasn't my dad, and it wasn't a car bomb, but it was a gunshot about 6 feet away from me. Like, basically my brother. Like,
it had to have been gruesome too.
Yeah. Like, I have been through horrific shit that was the loss of someone close to me.
Yeah.
I get it. And we're not good friends. You probably don't even like me very much. Whatever. But I know where you are.
Yeah.
I've been where you are. And that can be helpful because Dylan sees that there's someone on the other side of that,
Yeah.
He's like, oh, okay. So I'm going to get a record deal? Maybe. I don't know. One other thing I wanted to talk about in this is the two other storylines that are story threads.
Yeah.
We've talked about it a little bit. Let's do this 1 second. First, Brandon is digging himself a deeper hole gambling.
Yeah.
Betting more. He's down. Don't worry about it. He'll come back. But it's getting worse, right? And the other thing that's getting worse is Kelly's situation. And what we're seeing here is not just that Kelly's having an eating disorder or whatever it is that she's having around food right now. Kelly is going through a lot of shit. Like, this has been, like, the last year, like, about a year ago, she, come see, come saw, got a little bug, right? Like, about a year ago, her mom says, I'm pregnant. And then has a baby, or then gets married, has a baby. She cancels her trip to Paris, cheats with Dylan on her best friend, then has a protracted love triangle that's real messy, that ends with her getting the guy And then his dad immediately blows up in a car bomb in a marina parking lot. And then her boyfriend goes back to the other part of the love triangle. And for a good chunk of this time, you know, especially since they went on that, when she found out she had problem areas, like she has problem areas apparently. Kelly this has been a bad year. She is actively struggling.
You forgot Jake.
Jake, of course, Jake. Oh God, let's forget Jake. But you're right. Like the whole Jake thing happens, and she is like, she's self-conscious. She's not sure. Like she's always living in comparison with something else. You know, either this idea she has of someone with no problem areas, or Brenda. You know, there's just and when Dylan needs somebody, she can't help.
Yeah.
So she feels even worse about herself. And I never realized how much complicated stuff had been building for Kelly this year. Because shit for Kelly gets way wilder.
Oh,
there's that thing where like some people are like, I just turned 25, and by the time I was 25, like John Lennon had done this, whatever. Like you compare yourself to somebody and the things they had achieved by the time they were your age. When you find out all the shit that Kelly goes through by the time she's 22, you're going to be like, well, thank fucking Christ that wasn't me. Like,
yeah, like I'm sure it's going to be addiction, abusive boyfriend, harassment, probably another assault, attempted or completed. It's, both. It's Kelly. Right. Like, let's torture this poor girl.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's had a rough go of it. And I never noticed it in this season, before this watch, the food stuff and how persistent it is. Like,
yeah,
it is so much better storytelling than I ever gave it credit for. Because good job.
It out.
Yeah, no.
I didn't write it. I wasn't alive.
Good job by you.
Child. Thank you.
Yeah. But it's because in my head, all of this eating disorder stuff comes out of nowhere and resolves itself in one issue. And that is one episode. And that is not what happened.
Nope.
Like, we're in the middle of this is February. When did they go? It's been a month, and it's been 2 months since Midlife Now What. So, it's been a number of episodes, 1, 2, 3, 4,
so
at
least
many where she's,
a couple months of, cutting back on food, possibly starving herself. Like, we don't really know how advanced this has gotten.
Yeah. But every time she's offered food, she says, no, I'm good. Except for these tiny little potato chips. And even that's not her eating to fuel her body. That's her eating because she's stressed or whatever. Like, even her relationship with that food is not super great for her.
Well, and she has this loaded plate later on, which, does she eat? We have no idea. But like this definitely addresses another side of eating disorders that, has become more recognized in recent years, that eating out of stress, binge eating, she's not doing that here, but it's not healthy. The motivation behind it is what's not healthy.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just like Kelly's been going through it, and she's been doing it right in front of everybody.
And, not important, but like for levity's sake, I don't know who she pissed off in the hair booth this week, but her hair looked rough.
Did it?
Like,
notice.
Oh my God. there was no consistency in the curls or anything. I was like, I'm sorry, this is Dylan's woman right now. Like, I know you all probably want us to like Brenda more than Callie, but like, don't take it out on her. Don't take it out on Jennie Garth's hair. Like, and I know the 90s was like, okay, we still want fluff and big, but we want a little less hairspray, or we want it to look like we're wearing less hairspray. And like, I just needed like a quick brush, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, again, things that shouldn't matter, but unfortunately do, because you notice it, and it's like, why is this a thing? Why is her hair looking messy and not the perfectly coiffed that it normally is?
Yeah. It's, even her hair is struggling.
Which
it's a rough time
would make sense if you're starving yourself. But I don't think they were going that deep.
Probably not. That does feel like a level of detail, like one order of magnitude too far.
Yeah.
But, I get it. Anything else that this might really have been about?
Not so much that it was about this, but I really loved the show of support the guys had for Dylan as he's crying in the funeral. And they're just like, there was, I don't know, it just, the guys, they were really there for each other in like a beautiful way, and not in a like, oh, we can't be emotional and we can't cry and things like that. This was lovely. And, we always nitpick the things that, or not always, we call out things they do wrong, and I also want to call out things they did right, and I loved that.
Excellent. I like that. Okay, what did this make you nostalgic for?
Nothing pleasant.
Yeah.
It's, I'll say two things, but again, neither one of them are pleasant. They're not the saddest story I could tell you all, thankfully. But like, as we were talking about the meatloaf thing in particular, I also remember lying to myself about food. For a time, I told myself, I don't like fries. I don't like donuts. Cheesemeisters. Abso-fucking-lutely I do.
Put the fries through the donut and you eat them both.
Listen, you can dislike whatever food you like, but just really ask yourself, do I really dislike this food, or am I just torturing myself? And, thankfully, after much introspection, seeing how much harder adult life is going to get, I thought, you know what? I'm going to give myself the fucking fries.
Eat the fries.
Eat the fries.
You're so cheap.
Listen, truffle fries are a thing now. Can you imagine what life would be if you didn't know what truffle fries were?
There's a place that we eat here all the time. It's like our go-to, like for really good burgers and stuff. And Bad Apple. Bad Apple has truffle fries and garlic fries, and they do an Old Bay. If you'd like that. They're all just really fucking good. So yeah, props to truffle fries.
And obviously funerals. Like, I'm always flabbergasted when I come across someone who's like, oh, I've never been to a funeral before. Really? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah. It's not like I've been to a ton, but with a family as big as ours, and also like, I don't know. I feel like with a family as big as ours, you've been to funerals, even if it's like friends of the family, extended cousins, uncles, people you've never met, like just going there and your mom being like, behave. This is. The last funeral we went to was together, and I got chastised for laughing, but it was the end of a 7-hour-long wake, and I think I was in the right place to be laughing.
Okay, so here's the thing. This is what I'm nostalgic for. Okay. Wakes are weird. Like, they just are. They're too long. Like, if this is like a if this is like an immediate family member, wakes are too long. Like but they need to be, because like so many people want to come and they want to show you their support or whatever, but it's like 7, 12, 14 hours of like just standing around. Sometimes you go and you sit in some chairs. Sometimes you go shoot baskets because you just got to get out of there, like the guys did. And like there's always like there's a room with like tiny little ham sandwiches or whatever. Like and you find yourself having just it's like it's just small talk all day long. But every now and again, it's small talk and someone needs to hug you. Like it's just this weird, it's a weird roller coaster of a day, and they're exhausting.
Yes.
Like they make you so tired. And I don't dislike them. Like I wish, like Dylan, I could go without the tie. I'm real good if I don't have to do that. Like, can we just, like, this person, probably the person who's dead here, whoever it is, they probably only saw me wear a tie like 3 times. Can we just leave it at that? Like, my primary relationship with literally whoever is in the casket, it doesn't matter who it is tie free. That's my relationship with them. Can we keep it that way? That's my position.
I'm just gonna need a lot of breaks. Like, I mean, I after the last one, I looked at my parents and I said, yours is going to be 2 hours. And my mom said, no, that's not how it works. And I was like, you won't be here.
That's right. You won't know.
You won't know. And Dad's fine with it. I have his blessing.
That's right. This is going to be drive-through. Like, it's going to... We're just going to run this, and we're out. Look, Survivor's on tonight. I got to,
Or people are just going to have to be okay with, like, you've been coming and going quite a bit. Yeah, I've been in one space for 7 hours. I need to walk. I need to go see if that bar down the street is open yet so I can have a sip of something. Like,
yeah. That's the other weird thing about wakes is other people's opinion of what you should be doing as the bereaved. Yeah. It's like, oh my God, how can I just like do this how I want to, pretty please, without your expectations? Like doesn't matter to me what you think about how I'm doing this today. It's fine. Like all right, I heard a story once. This isn't something that, you know what? Fuck this. This really happened. My godfather is a delightful person, and he is a weird dude. Like, just, he's loud and like, just he's a sweetheart. Like, he will give you the shirt off his back. Like, he's there to help. He's an odd duck. He came in to my grandfather's funeral, not our grandfather, my other grandfather, so longer ago. And I live here in Chicago, and he comes in, and I'm new. I don't think I'm married to Laura yet. But I think we're probably engaged. Like, it's right around then. And so he's got questions about Chicago. He wants to talk about Chicago, and like, Laura's dad was a cop, so he wants to ask cop questions about Chicago police. And then he opens a map and sits on the floor in the funeral home and wants us to show on the map where, because this is like pre maps on your cell phone, where we live in Chicago. It was awesome. Like, it's just,
I love him.
Okay.
I want him I want him at all future funerals I have to go to.
We're doing this now. We're going to sit on the floor and we're going to look at your fold out map of Chicago. And everybody goes, that's Uncle Tom. It's, it's what we know.
Same expression someday, because I don't think I've done that questionable stuff, but I feel like I'm definitely considered a weirdo in the family. So.
Oh, I mean, I make it my business to be a weirdo. Yeah.
I didn't. It just naturally happened. So now I want to lean into it.
You really should. It's way better. Oh, we didn't talk about this shit, and we need to. It's important. What the fuck with all the Jack stuff? Does any of that make any sense?
Oh, no, it was so pointless. Like, so needlessly dramatic. Government guy can fuck right off. Like, okay, I get it. None of us want to be yelled at by a kid.
Right.
18 or not, calm down. And also, like, anyway. But at the same time, for him to suddenly be yelling at Dylan, I was like, this is just bad. This is stupid and pointless. And all of this could have still been done at Castle Walsh. Christine could have pulled him aside. I mean, if you want that other guy to show up and make sure Christine does it justice, fine. But it was dumb.
It was like, yes, like that part is huge dumb. Why do you need to go to well, look, first of all, Dylan gets in the car and drives to I don't know where and ends up at the brick wall outside of the recording studio that will eventually serve as the entrance to the Peach Pit After Dark. Like that's what that wall is. That's what that little parking lot is. It's the exterior wall of where they shot the show.
Wow.
And you only reason you know it is because there's so much that like over the years happens right outside of the Peach Pit After Dark. Keep doing that. So like but why do you need to go there? Why does this guy need to be involved? Can't Christine take Dylan aside at Castle Walsh and have this quiet conversation without the subterfuge?
Yeah.
Like that's number one. Number two, if Christine has always been a cop, which she has apparently, then when she met Jack, it was while he was in prison. And as part of her job to like cultivate him as a source, presumably. Like, so like she comes over to Dylan's house to sleep with Jack. I don't know if that's like to finish the bring him all the way in, like, like what, I don't know. But they're dating ish, I guess, while he's in prison and she's running his case in some way, gets him out of jail.
Yeah.
And then he has all these weird side quiet conversations in other rooms with people promising to get them money. Why does he need Dylan's money?
Yeah, that hasn't been answered. And again, the thing that you kind of helped me realize is that however they got together is kind of icky because power dynamics.
Right.
Like she's in a position of power. He's not, as a prisoner. Whatever you think. And again, however they got together, however innocent it was, she still had all the power. Like it's murky at best.
At best, yeah. And it just I've watched it 100 times. It doesn't make sense. Like, you should, if you're going to do a reveal like this under the fucking light bulb that swings back and forth in your dark, deep throat garage, like, you should hear Jack is working for the feds, and suddenly it makes everything make sense. Right? You go, oh, that's why he did those things. Knowing that doesn't make any of that other stuff any clearer.
No.
And it just bugs the fuck out of me. So as good a job as they have done with Kelly's progressive eating situation and Brandon's gambling problem and like David's dive into the seamy underbelly that is Icon Records or whatever the fuck's going on there, telling these stories over time, the Jack shit makes no sense.
No.
Like, it's just, I feel like there's probably like 4 scenes they cut out in 6 episodes that like would have made it make a whole lot more sense. but they're like, we were over by 35 seconds, so we had to trim something.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
I don't know.
And I don't care enough. It's okay. Ice cream.
So speaking, oh shit. Okay, God, there's too many things to discuss before we get to worst person. There's an ice cream versus condoms update.
Yeah. So even though I didn't count the mentioning of ice cream at the beginning because that didn't seem fair, but there is ice cream eaten at the very end. So it is 21-16 now, I believe.
Okay, so good job, ice cream. The thing that I just remembered I wanted to tell you about was our Uncle Monty Brockman.
Yeah, what?
Okay, so Laura does genealogy stuff, and she discovered one of Grandma's uncles. So that's how far back this is. It's only one of Grandma's uncles, named Monty Brockman. He served time in federal prison for counterfeiting, and was pardoned by Theodore Roosevelt because he turned rat. Jack McCade, he turned on all of his accomplices and got out of jail, and fuck those guys.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we have been sort of a little bit here and there trying to learn more about the history of Monty Brockman, because it's not every day you find out you've got a counterfeiter in your lineage that was pardoned by the president of the United States because he was a rat. But yeah, we got a Jack McKay in the family.
Oh man.
Yep.
Oh man.
And we've asked Grandma about him, and she remembers meeting him. Like, it wasn't somebody that she knew very well. And that I think her position on him was didn't think he was up to much good.
He seemed shifty to me.
Yeah, it's sort of what it was. Like, he was an uncle she didn't really know that well, who was probably not on the level. So yeah, Monty Brockman is our very own Jack McKay. Did not, as far as I know, blow up in a car bomb at a marina.
I was trying to think of the, I don't know, early 1900s equivalent of blowing up one's car. I guess
it would be planting a bomb on the underside of the horse.
Well, I was thinking doing the trick that happens in Newsies, which is they remove the nail from between that links the carriage to the horse, and that it goes away. So it won't really kill anyone.
That's true.
That I know of.
That's right. Well, I mean, we haven't tried, so don't besmirch the removing the nail as a murder weapon method. Very easily be a Columbo episode where that happened. I don't know.
Oh my God.
That'd be awesome. Okay, who is your Steve Sanders Memorial worst person of the episode?
It's the people in the music industry telling David that, he's got to be a team player, and, they don't say it outright, but, it's the microaggressive statements that basically mean, fuck whatever's going on in your life. I hip you hop, you be a bop. Like,
right. Yep. Yeah, that guy sucks.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Yep. Yeah, Serge is awful, and so is the other guy whose name starts with a C Curtis Bray.
Yeah.
For me, the worst person of the episode is aggro cop guy. Like, that guy serves no purpose. He just, like, you could have gotten rid of that guy completely and just had Christine do it. But like,
never without.
Oh my God.
Like,
yeah. Thank God David came into that bathroom. Props to David. Yeah. All right. So I think we did it.
We did it.
All right. So join us here on Friday, Cheesemeisters, when we are going to watch Psycho. And we'll tell you why once the movie starts. And here's what I recommend: if you haven't already seen Psycho, don't listen to the episode unless you've seen Psycho. Like, watch it between now and then. You got a couple days. Just because everyone should get to see Psycho unspoiled, and we're gonna just talk about all of it. Like, it's gonna be a spoilery conversation about Psycho, and no one should have Psycho spoiled for them. Although, correct, as I believe I mentioned at the end of the last Peach Pod After Dark, I have spoiled Psycho for somebody, and I will tell you what happened when I did that and how exactly I did that.
I can't.
And I still feel bad about it. But also, join us here next week when we discuss Season 3, Episode 23, Duke's Bad Boy.
Oh, no!
Yep. I think one of our B storylines is going to become the A storyline for an episode.
Is Brandon going to have to pimp himself out to make money? Oh my God. He's going to be like Fantine in Les Mis, except Fantine didn't gamble. She was trying to, make a hard-earned living for her child living in another area.
Sure.
Oh my God. This is amazing. I want this to be, okay, that's terrible. I don't want him to pimp himself out. That's awful.
Well, yeah, it'll be something. I don't know that it's going to be, I don't know it's going to be so much Les Mis, but, if you look hard enough, squint, turn your head sideways, maybe everything's Les Mis. It's hard to say.
Oh, God, I hope not. No,
all right. You. Well, until then, Cheesemeisters. Bye. Bye.